Buenos dias, buenas tardes, good evening, guys. Welcome back to the God Centered Podcast. Yo soy compa Marco.
Y yo soy compa Mauri. Welcome back, guys. We're excited to be here.
Very
compa Marco,
excited.
like
Y-
always.
But you know what I'm really excited about, man?
Yeah.
Tomorrow is a very special day.
Tell me.
Tomorrow's a very special day for a very special person.
Compa Marco.
I just want to give this person a special shout out, bro. I love you. And happy early birthday.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
You're growing, man. I've been with you and I've walked with you and I've watched you grow.
Wow.
You've helped me grow.
Thank you, brother.
But it's a beautiful thing when you can connect with somebody and that they can help you grow and you can still see them growing. And because we're not going to finish anytime soon.
No, not anytime soon.
And we
compa Marco.
continue to put ourselves in a place where God is going to continue to show us where he wants to take us.
Yes.
And he has been taking you places, man. And it's encouraging and it's empowering.
Thank you, brother.
And just keep going, brother.
Thank you, man.
Keep going.
And that's such a great compliment, bro, coming from you because you've gotten to see me at my worst and at my best. And for you to say that, I appreciate it. I treasure that. Thank you, bro.
Praise God. But let us continue. You know, man, I was, I think through the days, as you're living through the days, you know, you search for God and you see God in special places.
Bro, sorry, dude. I'm so sorry, dude. It's because, you know what? The only thing I keep thinking about is what you told me.
Which part? I say a lot of things.
De los vatos, remember?
No.
That's the only thing I keep thinking about, dude. I don't know if that's what you were gonna say, but I think you should share that story.
I was leaning towards it.
Okay.
I was getting there.
Please
I will.
share that story, dude.
All right, let me just cut to the chase. Let me just cut to the chase, all right?
Marco, because that's an awesome story, bro.
And so I was remembering, man. I was remembering that when we did the Spartan race, we did it at separate times, same day, right? And when we were finished with the race, you know, first there's preparation for this race, man. You see all these guys out there, man. These guys are committed. These fools are jacked.
They're ripped up, dude.
They're ripped, man.
Yeah.
And the ladies out there be looking good too, man. They be looking shredded.
Everybody's exercising.
They put their work in. They out there looking like warriors.
Yeah.
Well, most of them. But
Yeah.
there's a few who don't care. That's okay. They got a heart of a warrior.
That's me, compa Marco. The ones that didn't look like a warrior have the heart of a warrior. That was me, compa Marco.
It's a spirit. It's a fight.
There you go. It's a fighter, you know? Yep.
But what was very interesting about that day, man, that I really forgot about it, but it came to mind today for the most randomest reason. And it's my son speaks to me a lot, man. And God uses my son to speak to me a lot. But in this particular situation, bro, what I remembered was that after we had left the race, and after I had finished the race, right? We went to go get the drinks, to get my drinks. My wife wanted a drink, Zeke wanted a drink. They wanted the mango puree smoothie. It was so good. So expensive, but so good. You know, and as we're leaving, we're walking away, man, and something really catches my eye, and I thought it was quite beautiful. And which was there was a grown man, ya vato, ya viejón, maybe he's in his 80s, bro. You know, and his son was with him. His son was probably our age, maybe older. Ya era un vato, ya viejo, bro. Like this was
barba and everything.
a beard and everything, bro. This was a man.
Yeah.
This was not a kid.
Yeah.
You know, but after a race, and you know, he's not expecting him. I said la rima, he gets close to me and he hugs him and le truena un beso. And I was like, oh, wow. And those vatos, acá nomás, you know, like, all right, yeah, that's cool. But it was beautiful, bro. And I'm telling you why, man, because it was his son.
Yes.
It was his son, man. It
Yes.
was his son, and he loved his father so much that he didn't care where he was. It did not matter where they were.
He didn't care that he had just finished running a race,
He
dude.
didn't care that he was dripping in sweat.
Yeah.
todo pestoso,
Yeah.
but that doesn't matter
That didn't matter.
because it was the heart, man. It was that affection that he wanted to show, to
Yeah.
share.
Yeah.
Dad, I love you.
Yes.
And
Yes.
age didn't matter.
Yes.
And a lot of the times, man, I saw that and I was like, I really want that. I really want that.
That's awesome, bro.
And my wife caught it too, and she kind of caught me staring.
Mhm.
I kind of felt awkward because they kind of saw me staring,
I mean,
you know?
bro, like,
But I'm impressed.
just think about this, right? Like, there's two vatos kissing.
Well, okay, hold on. Let me rephrase that, bro, because I think the way that I said it brings a different connotation, and you know,
That's why I was laughing. I couldn't get it out of my head the way you first said it. You're like, but it's totally different because it's a father and a son,
yes,
right? But that's why I was laughing, Como Marco, just the context of the way you said it the first time.
he kissed him.
Yeah.
He gave him.
He embraced his father.
He embraced his father.
Yes.
And gave him that love between the father and the son, and
That's
only
amazing.
a bond that only they can understand. And I thought it was one of the most beautiful things, man, because
That is beautiful.
you don't see that.
No.
That's not a norm in our culture.
Right.
That's not something that you see. And I mean, I see my dad, and I'll give him a kiss.
Yeah.
I will, and but I was thinking to myself, how can I do this? How can I be able to reach a point where I'm older and Zeke is old, and I want to have
He'll
that type
embrace
of
you in that
relationship.
way. He'll honor you in that way. He'll love you
Yes.
in that way, shamelessly,
Shamelessly.
not thinking about that.
And there shouldn't be thought about it, man,
No.
because it's just an act of love.
Yes,
It's just an
it's
act
your
of
father.
embrace, and it's just, Dad, I love you, and I just want you to feel it.
Yeah.
I want you to feel that love,
Mm-hmm.
and
It's almost like an honor and a respect, bro.
it really is.
I mean, that's the way it was,
Yeah.
and that's powerful. That's cultivated, dude. That's
And that's
that-
basically what I came. That's what I came to, man. That
Yeah.
it needs to be cultivated
Yes.
at some point
yes.
in their lives. It needs to be
Yes.
cultivated for you guys, for those who have children, and you want that type of love. If you
Right.
want that type of connection, we need to be really intentional with what we're doing now to cultivate that relationship.
Mhm.
Like, I know for a fact, Maudie, that if I don't love my son that way, if I don't actively hug my boy, if I don't actively kiss my boy, if I don't constantly tell him, Papas, I love you. How are you?
Yeah.
I miss you.
Yeah.
Come here.
Yeah.
And give Papa some love.
Yeah.
Give me some love, man.
Yes.
And then, all right, Papa, I'm coming. And then he runs and he gives me a hug, and then we embrace. But it needs to be done.
It's being cultivated since now.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, and that's see, like, that's what we were talking about. Can you imagine this? Somebody who didn't grow up experiencing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And later in life, right? Your dad tells you, and now you're a man, and your dad tells you, come and, like, kiss me, embrace me, right? It's gonna be so unnatural
Awkward.
and so
Huh?
weird. Why? Because it hasn't been cultivated, right?
Yeah.
But in this case, that guy, it was cultivated because it was just so natural.
Yes.
It was just something that gets done in a form of expression of his love for his father. And that's powerful, dude, that you say it that way, that you saw it that way. What are we cultivating in our children? What are we cultivating in our families, compa Marco?
Yeah.
What are we cultivating? Because look at what you said, right? You said you want that, right?
Yes.
So you're aware of that. But also you're aware that you have to cultivate it since now. Because don't expect to harvest fruit that you've never planted. And that's what happens, compa Marco, a lot of the time, right? We try to harvest
Yes.
from somewhere we never planted.
Yes.
God teaches us that life is a plant and harvest. What you reap, you will sow, right?
Yes.
And that's what it is. It's a cause and effect. What are you doing now? What are we doing? And that's such a good question, bro, that
It
you
is.
asked.
And what are we doing? And if we're not,
Mhm.
what can we do?
Yes. time to shift.
It's time to shift. It's never too late
No,
to
it's
share
never
love.
too late.
It's never too late.
No.
And sometimes I feel like we forget
Mm-hmm.
that they need that love,
Mm-hmm.
that they need that embrace, that
Mm.
they need to know and feel loved.
And you know what, bro? I think we briefly touched this too, but like for me personally,
Yeah.
I'm not very physical in that way. It's not natural to me. My wife, on the other hand, she is. We talked about the love languages. There's certain ways that we express love. The way I express love is through being together. Like I'll say, hey, let's go hang out. And that's me expressing love.
Yes.
But I have to be aware, my oldest son, he loves physical touch. He loves hugging. So I need to think about that. Oh, he needs to be loved in that way. So now that he's getting older, it's more rough playing. It's more like, nudging him, like wrestling, bear hug,
Yeah.
that type of thing. But we do need to be aware to cultivate those things and to love our family in the way they want to be loved, bro, because even that, we're very different in the way we express our love and the way that love is going to be cultivated and reflected in the future.
Yes.
We need to be aware of it since right now so that we start planting those seeds.
That's very wise, Melody, because when we think of when I think about cultivating, man, my mind it goes to plants. It goes to a garden. It goes to a farmer.
Yeah.
Because these people, the farmers, man, they have to cultivate the land.
Yes.
And what cultivation means is you have to be able to tend to it. You have to be able to take care of it. You have to be able to nurture it. You have to be able, and guard it is removing the pests, removing the things that don't belong in that garden.
Yes.
It's an active thing.
Yes.
Which means that, let me just love him every once in a while. Let me just do, a ver cuando me acuerde. Whenever I remember,
Yeah.
I'm going to show him some love.
Yeah.
But when we're actively cultivating something, it needs to be done at a daily basis.
Nurtured.
It needs to be consistent.
Yes.
We need to be consistent with this cultivation.
Yes.
If not, it's not going to grow the way that we want it to grow. We
Right.
can't expect something to grow when we're not planting.
Right.
We can't expect something to thrive when we're not taking care of it.
When you're not watering it.
Exactly.
Even watering in the act of a garden, it's done daily, right?
Yes.
And so talking about that way of loving, sometimes, or it's been presented as a tank. Like we have a tank inside of our heart
Yes.
that needs to be filled up. It needs to be cultivated, right? And how do we do that? By loving the person, in this case your son, in the way he likes to be loved,
Yes.
which is through that. And now you're cultivating something amazing. You're filling his heart and overfilling that. When he grows up and he's a man, he's going to embrace you in that way because you've been cultivating that. You've been teaching him, right? In a way that's like, this is the way your tank gets full.
Yes.
And now he's going to replicate that as an adult towards you. But that starts now. The watering is daily, bro. The watering is consistently.
Yes.
Because what happens when we stop watering consistently, plants wither.
Yes.
And then it's harder, not impossible, but it's harder. It gets harder to bring life into that plant because now it's in a state of lack. Now it's in a state of wither.
It's deprived.
And now it's going to take more in order for it to thrive.
And I won't say that it's going to take time.
Yes.
To bring that back to a healthy state.
Yes.
So with that being said, sometimes guys, when we have not cultivated that and we're trying to cultivate something new,
yes,
it's going to take time.
It's going to take time.
We need to be patient.
Yes.
We need to watch it. We need to tend to it.
Yes.
Because and I feel like sometimes, because that becomes me sometimes, and sometimes I become impatient. Sometimes I feel like the process takes too long.
Yeah.
And sometimes it does feel that way.
Wow.
But we need to persevere, be persistent, and continue trusting that something is going to grow out of this.
Yes. Absolutely, bro. As you were saying that, have you ever seen really, really dry dirt where it starts to crack?
Yeah.
And it starts to open up because it's so dry?
Yes.
Well, when you see that dirt, the inclination is like just throw some water in it. right?
You would think, yeah, automatically.
You would think.
It's just going to turn into mud miraculously.
And it doesn't.
It does not.
It doesn't, because it's been so lacked of water that it needs to be done slowly. You need to start mending that soil so that it starts accepting that water, or in
Wow.
this case that love,
Wow,
or in
that's-
this case the thing that has been missing for so long. And now you don't even know it, compa Marco, right? Because it's been such a lack. It needs to be tended to a place where now consistently water, not drenched, right? But just water. And what happens eventually to that soil, it returns to its normal state. It returns to a place where now where you water it, it soaks it up and it takes it down to the roots of that plant. So even that, compa Marco, what you just said, it takes a daily practice.
Wow.
It takes consistent practice into watering those things so that in the future we could harvest these things as our kids grow up, as our family grows,
Yeah.
as your relationship with your wife grows. This applies to everything.
It absolutely does.
This applies to every single thing.
Because we have to look at our household as a garden.
Yes.
Our whole household, our family
Mm-hmm.
is a garden.
Yes.
The garden doesn't always have the same kind of plants.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to understand what plants we have in our
I
garden.
love that.
Also, knowing what we have will help us determine what that plant needs. Because the plant might need something different.
Mm-hmm.
See, you work with plants, you know these things.
Yeah.
And I think it's very interesting that sometimes, even if when you're overwatered,
Mm-hmm.
that can cause some harm
Yes.
to certain plants.
Yes.
So, and how do we know what plants we have? Well, we need to be able to study, understand,
Oh, wow.
and take note and
Mm.
pay attention to how the plant is reacting, because the plant will wither. The
Yes.
plant will be upright.
Yes.
Si le falta algo, it may need sunlight. If it's receiving too much water, if it's not receiving enough water.
Oh, wow.
All these things, they affect the growth
Mm.
of this particular plant, whatever plant that is in your garden.
Mm.
And we need to do this individually for our spouse
Yes.
and for our children.
Yes.
And even seeing our children, if we have more than one, as separate plants,
Oh,
because
yeah.
they are different.
It's not all one fits all
It's
type
not.
of thing.
It's not.
Wow. Guys, check out this tool. If you go to 5lovelanguages.com, you're able to take a test, Compa Marco. You're able to take a test. And this dude, he wrote a book about that, about the 5 love languages. Get the book, but go to the website and do this test. That's gonna like blow your mind, dude. Because when you realize exactly that, that's a way to figure out what plant you are, what plant your wife is, what plant your son is. Because now at this point, now you're able to give that plant exactly what it needs. You might be overwatering, or you might be thinking, "Oh, this plant needs water,"
It doesn't need water.
but in reality, you're giving love, right, to your wife in a way that maybe that's not her love language.
Yeah.
And you're like, why isn't this plant growing if I'm overwatering it? Exactly that. You're overwatering. You're not giving it the nutrients or the care that that specific plant needs.
And what rises is frustration because you're not getting what you want.
Yes.
And that's because you're not paying enough attention.
Yes.
You're focused on what you think is the right thing, but you're not focused on what the plant is telling you it needs.
Yes. Yes.
So there takes a lot of intentionality behind these things, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have to be intentional with what we're doing, and we have to be active.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an active thing. And when I say active, that means we have to be actively doing it day in and day out.
Yes.
You know, we all, or most people, have the tendencies to be kind of similar to the way that they were brought up.
Mm-hmm.
My parents showed me love. I know that I can love at a capacity because I was shown a lot of love, but that I also had a lot of discipline. At one point in my life, the love kind of lowered and the discipline kind of increased, and that was out of balance. And I think that kind of taught me, though, that if I'm going to discipline my son, which I need to,
Yes.
discipline is a must,
Yes.
but there needs with love.
Yes.
You know, these
That's
things
good.
go together.
That's good. Yes.
We can't just do one without the other.
No.
We need to find that balance
Mm.
and be able to do that. Like with my son, man, I love him so much. I love him, you know, but I discipline him.
Yes.
When he does something wrong, he needs to know.
Yeah.
La regaste.
Mhm.
That's not right.
Yeah.
And then I'll talk to him about it. And I let him know what he did wrong.
Mm.
I'll leave him a moment to stay with it. And then he'll call me. Papa, papi, papa. Oh, ¿qué onda, papi? I want to talk to you. He'll tell me. And then I'll come close. What's up, papi? What's on your mind? Daddy, I'm sorry. I love that he actively says, I'm sorry.
But
that's
see how it's
because-
being cultivated though?
Yes.
Again, that cultivating.
And
It's already
I
happening.
don't have a problem saying, I'm sorry, Z.
Yeah.
I overdid it.
Mm.
I shouldn't have said it.
Mm.
I should not have said that.
Mm.
Daddy was wrong.
Mm.
And it's a relationship where we build trust with one another because we're still learning about each other. We're both learning to understand each other, and we know that we're going to get it wrong. And then he'll tell me, Daddy, I'm sorry because I didn't listen. It's okay.
Bro, I think that's deeper. That's very deep, see, because you're teaching him how to cultivate that relationship, how to humble himself, to apologize, but you're modeling that, right?
Yeah.
Remember we were talking about the two vatos
Yeah.
that were kissing?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember.
That's how this started, right?
Yes.
This guy that embraced his dad, right? That didn't just happen that day, bro. That's been cultivated, that action. And guess what? Guess who did it first?
The dad.
The dad. Since that guy was little, he taught him by example. Just like you're teaching your son how to apologize when you messed up. And now you're cultivating something in him so that when he grows up, you're able to have that conversation. Hey, Dad. He'll tell you, hey, Dad, I overdid it here. But it's been cultivated. And whatever we cultivate when our kids are small, those are the fruits that we're going to reap when they get older. And that's powerful, bro.
That is.
That's relationship building, you know, and sometimes we don't think about these things, bro. We don't consciously analyze, like, what are we cultivating? What are we cultivating in our family? Because that's what's going to become the future.
Yes, what we're doing now.
Yes.
We're gonna see it in the future.
Yes.
We're gonna see it later.
Yes. Yes. So that's very powerful, bro. What?
It is, man. And I also want to say that, like we said, if we haven't started, start.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that word cultivating. I used it. I think one of the first time that I really used that word was with my vows. When me and my wife got married. It was part of my vows where I told her, you know, I gave her the promise that I was gonna what I was gonna cultivate in our marriage, in our family, you know, with God. And I'm gonna tell you guys, I'm gonna be honest, that I did not hold that to be true at the beginning of my marriage. I did not. It was just a word that was spoken, but there was no action behind it. And we can't just use these empty words. They need to have traction. They need to have movement. We need to do something with what we say we're going to do. And Mauri, I almost broke my marriage before it even started, before I even began to cultivate. I was breaking my marriage. I was breaking my family down. And I'm saying this just to say that God does redeem.
Yes.
That He will redeem you.
Yes.
He will redeem your marriage. He will redeem your family.
Amen.
He will fix everything around your life as long as you're submitted to Him.
Amen.
And you look for Him.
Amen.
And you humble yourself unto Him.
Yes. Yes.
From the beginning of my marriage to not even a year later to almost being done and over with because of my wrongdoings. Because of my failed cultivation. I gave that to God.
Mm.
I did what I could.
Yeah.
I did all that I could. And I did not give up.
Mm.
To say that today,
Fast forward to now.
Yeah. God redeemed my marriage.
Yes. Amen.
God redeemed my family.
Mm.
And now I stand in a position to where I can love my wife, where I can tell her how much I love her, where I can embrace her, and she will receive me as a man that I am now.
Yes.
Not the man that I used to be back then, but the
No.
man that I am now, the man who is raising our children to love,
yes,
to know Christ, to follow him, to love and to lead my wife, and to be a leader of my home.
Yes.
God redeems.
God redeems. God redeems, bro, and you're right. If you're hearing this and you feel like maybe your marriage, maybe your relationship with your kids, maybe your relationship of friendship is not where you want it to be.
Yeah.
Remember what you're just saying, Compa Marco. God redeems. And it's also going to take intentionality on our part to ask the question, what are we cultivating? Because whatever we're cultivating is the seed that's going to grow in the future. What is that seed going to turn into? What are these actions leading to?
Oh, wow.
And if it's time to clean the garden, if it's time to prune the garden, if it's time to readjust the amount of watering or lack thereof, whatever it is, it's time to do that. But it starts with the question, what are we cultivating? And remembering that God redeems.
Amen. Amen.
Yes. Yes, Compa Marco.
Well, I guess, on that note, we will say that start cultivating now.
Mm-hmm.
Begin today.
Yes.
If you don't know how to, that's okay.
Let God lead you.
The fact that you're thinking about it, it's already a good place.
Give it to God.
Yes.
Put it in God's hands. Say, God, I don't know. I mean, a lot of the times, Compa Marco, we don't get taught these things.
No.
God needs to guide us. Pray about it.
Yes, absolutely.
Ask God to put people in your path that will model that.
Yes.
And then you could bring that to your family. Look for tools. We just gave you one, the 5 love languages.
Yeah.
But be active in these things.
And although it can be a little hard at first, although it can force you to step outside of your comfort zone, that's part of it.
Yes. Yes.
Embrace it and walk towards it.
Yes, that's right.
It's gonna give you joy in the future.
Yeah.
When you can sit back and you see the flowers that have grown in your garden.
I love that.
Because of the work that you were willing to do.
The intentionality of cultivating.
Because you were willing to go on your knees and weed that garden day after day. The work is never in vain.
No. I love that.
Our prayers, they're never in vain.
They're never in vain.
Our Father hears.
Yes.
And he doesn't just hear, but he'll answer.
That's right.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for listening. And if this did something in your heart, if this helped you in any way, please like, share, subscribe, share it with somebody. And we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next week.
Ciao.